Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
So when you see somebody and you say, "Hey, what's going on? How's it going?" And they say, "Living the dream." Are they really living the dream? That's the question today, because the dream is different. Now, we all have dreams. I get that. But I'm talking about the American dream, what it was, what it is. Things are radically different now than, say, 20, 30 years ago about work, business, and all of that. We're going to jump down that rabbit hole, learn a lot about that. She's somebody that does amazing designs, interior designs, full remodel projects, all of that. But she also provides some other insight, which I find fascinating, in KN from KN Creations and Design. She's with us. How you doing today? Don't say living the dream. Don't say it.
I am. I'm just living the dream, my dream at least.
Well, I guess, nobody can dispute that. We're all living a dream. Everybody has a dream. Billy Joel song, by the way. So everything has really changed here. And as we're starting to talk about this, I think back to, seeing old TV shows where, the father went to work, picked up the briefcase, mom was at home cooking, the two kids were there, everything was happy, happy, joy, joy. Not to say that it isn't similar, but it isn't. There's a lot of different things going on nowadays. Where do you want to start with this?
It evolved. I mean, I've been listening into a lot of other people speaking about this lately because we really have evolved as a society. I mean, if you think about it, when we were kids, like what was our version of the American dream? It was the white picket fence with a happy-go-lucky family and a house and having kids and being married by, like 18 or whatever it was back then. It's evolved. Like now it's completely different. You don't have a job where you really have to show up. Like it's not the norm anymore to have a 9 to 5 job, where you're clocking out at 5 o'clock, dinner's on the table, you're eating dinner, you're watching TV, and then you're going to bed. Like we are so far from that it's so interesting how we just continue to evolve over the years, in business, in relationships, in design, in artistry, all of those components.
It really is true when you think about what it was, what it is. And for some people that've been around for a while, when all of this changed with COVID, I have to believe that they almost felt guilty that they weren't working enough, because their parents came from the model of gotta work hard, gotta work hard, 9 to 5, gotta work, gotta work, gotta work. Where that all changed, where life is fragmented in terms of your job. Maybe you're a little bit from home, in the office, on the road, whatever it may be. But not to sound old, younger generation, different view of it. And it started 12, 13 years ago with Google, where, a lot of rising technical stars shook that place up to the point where there's video games in the lounge, where it's more laid back, chill atmosphere, but work got done and continues to get done. I guess just a different mindset overall.
There is, and I'm noticing there's like a huge gap right now between each generation. I don't know what I think it's the boomers, the baby boomers is our parents' generation, and we're considered what, millennials, and then there's Gen Z is like right after us. So like millennials are stuck in between like the boomers and the Gen Z as far as like work and how daily operations are, and how to show up for business and how to show up for themselves and their families and their self-care. It's a huge gap, and
Yeah.
it's a big argument. It's almost like they're at war with each other, because a lot of the higher ups and the bosses in the boomers are, they have that old school mentality mindset where it's like, you got to be 9 to 5, you got to show up for this time, these are your hours, like this is the respect that we're demanding. And then the Gen Z, and then part of us, like our millennial era, they're like, no, it doesn't have to be like that anymore. We've evolved. There's so many other ways we can operate conducive to being successful, where we don't have to burn out all the time. We don't have to be miserable and unhappy with our jobs. We don't have to conform to these like society expectations that there used to be for so many years. If you think about it, and this is something I've struggled with as a business owner over the years as it has evolved, I used to have that anxiety if I'm not working, like if I'm not up at like 5 a.m. and I'm working by like, 8 o'clock, 8 a.m. for like a solid 8 to 9 hours, I don't feel like I'm productive or successful. I feel like a failure. It doesn't have to be that way, because there are days when I'm not working that often. Like I have like a 4 hour window of like solid work, and then the rest of the day I'm kind of doing other things. Or I'll have like a 16-hour day where I have like a deadline, so
Mhm.
it's different every day. But it took a while for me to be comfortable with the fact that it's okay if you have those days that are a little bit shorter. It doesn't mean you're not successful, doesn't mean you're not working and showing up for your business. I think a lot of people struggle with that right now.
It's generational too, because boomers, it came from their parents. And I believe it may have came from the Great Depression, where when you were able to work, it was like work hard, work hard. So then they instilled that in the next generation. Fortunately, we broke that generational situation, but I believe it's 4.1 million. It's a record number of people will turn 65 this year, which, that generation now is heading into the retirement. But then again, we're living longer. So
Yeah.
keep working. Um, but at least the cycle has been broken. And I had a wake up call in myself. And I work hard, but I try to, play hard at the same time. I would hear from friends like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm laying in bed doing nothing. It's Saturday morning. It's 11:30. You're just laying in bed doing nothing? Yeah, just yeah, I'm watching TV. Really? I couldn't figure that out, because not that I'm like early rise, we're going to go going, but I'm always moving. I'm always doing something, hanging out with people, or I'm working or whatever it might be. And it took me, and I only realized this like 4 months ago. I'm not even kidding. I just stayed in bed. I door dashed, breakfast. It was great. Then I realized, oh, duh, you are doing something by doing nothing, because you're recharging your mind and your body by just laying in bed doing nothing. And it was
Yeah.
a real wake up call. And now I actually blank and look forward to it, like either Saturday or Sunday, depending on plans and stuff like that. I'll pick one and I'll lay in bed a little bit later. And it's, call a dog in, we'll just hang out. It's like the me time, but I didn't get it. And I think, a lot of people maybe don't get it, how
You
beneficial
don't
that
get it
is.
until you're forced to get it. I mean,
Well,
if you
yeah,
don't take
yes,
that time to
that's what it
rest and
was.
reset, I mean, the universe, the world is going to show you it's time, and it's not going to be when you want it to be. So you
Thank
may
you.
as well figure it out now.
Thank you for saying that, because I forgot to mention that I was dealing with a lot of stress, had like digestion issues and this, that, and the other. And that was it was like I got pushed into sleeping late. And that's when I realized, oh, okay, yeah, this is okay. What are some of the other things that you're hearing in terms of the not so much American dream anymore?
Well, aside from the workforce, it's bleeding kind of into the design and art and build industry. Because we do have craftsmen, the older generation craftsmanship that learn to work with their hands.
Hmm.
Now everything is so computer derived and generated that like the guys who work so well with their hands and do sketches and hand drawing and drafting, in my industry, they can read the digital plans, not a problem, but they can't produce them. So that's where people like myself come in, where we could produce both. Like I was taught both in college. And actually, I was a late bloomer in everything in life when it came to learning. So I was very good with sketching and drawing, and not so good at the computer stuff until later on when I like had to be. Um, and a lot of people in my position kind of experience the same. I work with architects who are women and men who only hand sketch. And then I work with some architects that are a little bit younger who they do the whole shabam or they outsource, and you have those architectural plans that you see online. Same thing with like custom furniture building, people building with their hands. Like there's one guy I found on Facebook, and I think it showed up on like your For You page or whatever. And it's this guy, he creates these really cool hand carved, like Disney animated, like wooden plaques. And it is so detailed that it's insane. I've never seen anything like that. And it made me question, I'm like, damn, I gotta like continue to paint and do all the handwork because that's a dying breed.
Oh, totally. Even it's hard to find people to become plumbers. There will always be a need. As far as we know, there will always be a need for that and some of the other trades. Now, I'm curious, the people that you're mentioning that are kind of doing it old school, are they younger as well?
Some are. Some want to really keep it going, keep it flowing. I try to stay in touch with those people and build my network with those kind of people, because that means, you know, that pendulum, it swings. I keep saying it, but it's coming back around. So God forbid all of our technology goes out, or if you're in a situation where like you have to sketch something real quick, you really need to be able to do both. I mean, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to learn how to use your hands and learn the technical computer side of things, because there's going to be a power outage at some point. I can just feel it.
Plus, I think there's going to be backlash from everything being automated. Everything's a bot, or you don't talk to people. You just send text. There's a place for all of that. I get it. But people are going to start truly majorly craving human interaction, where now phone calls are going to be made and face one-on-one connections are going to be made. I loathe when I go to hit a chat for customer service and it's a bot.
Me too.
It drives me insane. It takes I'm glad it's great for the company and you don't have to hire people. Shame on you and all of that. It takes longer to drill through the bot trying to figure out, well, just give me a person. Even when I make a phone call and it's automated, all I do is representative, blah, 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 representative, blah, 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 representative, until I get somebody on the phone. I think that people are going to be craving that sometime especially with AI. I think that's going to push it faster.
100%. I've been feral all week over Optimum for that exact reason. Like I finally got people on the phone and a tech physically here. And by the time the tech got here, the problem was resolved. And I said, I don't care, undo it all and then redo it again. Because you know what? If I have to call you and go through 97 bots to get you back here, I'm going to lose my mind and it's not going to be good.
Yeah. So I'm right there with you. Same company had an issue with them where they changed my service, but they really didn't. I was still paying the same thing. And, you know, just the waste of time. The perception is that this technology is saving time. The only thing it's saving time is for the company, not for the consumers. It's almost like they don't even care anymore.
Yeah. And also brick and mortar too is dying. And that's really upsetting because you can't, any business, anything that loses its tangibility, you can't guarantee a success rate. I mean, no matter how old you are, I have clients who are older, much older, and then clients who are my age and younger. We want to touch and see and feel the goods to ensure the quality. Yeah. And I can't do that if it's online. Plus, with AI, anything can be generated online. I mean, listen, you can order things from China that look great on the model. And then when you get when it arrives and you try it on, it looks completely different. You're like, what did I do? I've fallen victim to that more times than I care to admit.
For that reason, I went to the mall on Sunday. First time I had some time. I'm like, I'm going to the mall. I've been there a long time. I actually went by myself. It was a me time. And it was kind of depressing just looking at how many stores are going out of business, looking at some of the smaller shops and just not well kept, where like, you want to buy a shirt and it's like all over the place. And I'm like, oh, no, no, fix that. It's the reason why people aren't going there. And then, use the restroom. Oh my gosh. It looked like, there was a bomb went off in there. It was a mess. It's like, don't you care about the customer anymore? Why don't you just close the doors? What are you
Yeah.
doing here? It's truly a shame. It really is.
They don't want to hire people. And that's the
Yeah.
downfall of where we're at, financially, fiscally, and society. Um, and with this whole American dream, like people are seeing these areas where you can be successful working from home, working remotely online, that it's also driving, like people don't want to physically show up for a job too, you
Hmm.
know, which is creating a problem. So while we have all these other remote access ways of making money, people don't want to be in that burnout. I think it's fear based, to be honest, or maybe it's just like anxiety based. We got comfortable during COVID because we had to stay home. We had to keep to ourselves. And then you kind of were like, I don't want to deal with anybody at that point. I don't want to interact with people. And so you get comfortable not interacting with people for so long that when you're forced back into it because your job requires that, you get anxiety and you just don't want to do it.
Hmm. I never thought of it that way, that COVID changed the mindset of many to where they're not used to dealing with people. Granted, if you're younger, call it Gen Z, the younger side of Gen Z, you're not used to social interaction anyway, because of social media and connections that way. So that's a whole different thing going on there. But yeah, I never thought of it that people are uncomfortable being with people. Wow.
It's scary. I mean, I got like that in my own business as a designer, and I'm like, I need to work with people. Like, there's no way around it. You can't be like Charlie and Charlie's Angels. And I used to laugh and joke around and say, I want to be Charlie. I want to be not seen, but everywhere. And I still kind of want to do that, but like you have to build relationships with people. You have to build trust, and it's the only way you can be successful. You can't be a ghost in thin air for design and not be known.
How do you know Charlie's Angel? Is so funny you bring that up. Like, it's like so old school but it's on your
There's
radar.
newer versions
I
too.
know. All right, I get it. I have a group of three women I'm friends with, and we call them Stevie's Angels. So we're in a group chat, and it's like to all of them the other day, I was like, "Happy Mother's Day, Angels." So funny. uh, what else are you thinking about in terms of the American dream? What has changed? Like I'm looking in my mind, certainly in terms of making purchases, it's amazing how Amazon went from, wow, kind of cool, to the backbone of America in a very short period of time.
Yeah, Amazon is huge. I mean, they keep growing. That's what's scary is like it's hard to keep up. And I'll be honest, like I have seller accounts, like I'm the seller on Amazon. I can't even keep up. It's overwhelming what
Wow.
they continue to offer. You know, everything, cosmetics, medicine, home goods. Like the home goods stuff scares me because I'm like, I know where they're getting most of it from. They're getting it from Alibaba, which is China. That's where they're getting it from. I did a whole
Wow.
course on this stuff, and
Wow.
it got to be like really overwhelming. And even if you try to take like an item and resell it yourself and customize it to make it a little different, the minute you do that, it's all over. I mean, they take what you want to do to it and they just run off to the races with it with their name on it. So it's like it's going to forever grow and be a thing, Amazon, but I don't know the longevity of it. I don't know what it's going to be in 5 or 10 years.
Isn't it interesting that on one side, in technology, you have Amazon. We live in an Amazon world. Press a button, it shows up. Then on the other side, we have what we were talking about before, the bots, when you try to get customer service. And it's the complete opposite of the Amazon situation. Like, it's weird how it's not all the same. It's vastly different.
But you know what's actually interesting? So I've noticed so many Amazon trucks as I'm driving.
Oh my gosh.
They're doing a really good job with giving people jobs. And that I commend them for, because there are people who have phenomenal jobs. They're well taken care of. They're getting benefits. They're getting all these things that a lot of other jobs are not offering. And I always say,
True.
like, if for some reason I ever really shifted gears and like totally went out of what I'm doing, I would accept an Amazon job 100%, because they are taking care of their employees. And I think that's why they continue to grow.
Yeah. Starbucks, great company too. I have friends that work part-time at Starbucks for the benefits. The benefits are fantastic. And interesting, we mentioned Amazon and bots. AI is being used by Amazon employees right now, and it's a problem at the warehouses because they have something called voluntary time off, where you just get, it doesn't count toward your vacation time, you just get time off. Well, no slots are available because employees are using bots to claim the time off. They figured out
What?
you have it's voluntary time off where it's like, oh, take a day off, take a day off. There's certain slots available, doesn't count toward
Yeah.
your vacation time. So some tech savvy employees are using AI bots in the Amazon system, you know, the back end of the system for employees to
Yeah.
claim their time off because there's only a certain bank of time. So they're using
Yeah.
bots to do it. So now Amazon has to clamp down on that.
They better button that up real quick,
Yeah.
because there's enough technology to go around where they can nip that in the bud. They can get rid of that. I mean, that's scary.
Isn't it interesting how Amazon went from convenient to now essential, where I don't order anything from anybody else. I just ordered on Amazon
Me
because
too.
it's just convenient. I don't feel like plunking in the credit card numbers again. I don't feel like doing this, even if it's auto populated and I just got to put in the 3-digit code. It's already set to go. And it's almost like a test. Like, you know, I'll see an ad for something, you know, oh, it's a cool pair of shoes. All right, so let me check that out. And then I'm like, I wonder if it's on Amazon. Boop, 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 boop. Yep, sure it is. Same price. Sold. It's just
And to be
easy.
honest, they make it easier if something happens, like let's say you
Yes.
order shoes and you have to return them.
Yes.
There's so many drop off areas for the return that is so easy
Yeah.
that it's too convenient. Like I would normally just take the L and say, screw it, I am not returning this item. I've lost so much money in things and tangible items because of that, because I just didn't feel like returning them and shipping them back. Now I can go anywhere and just drop off my Amazon return, and it's so easy.
Yeah. And I wonder, like, how are they doing that? How are, you know, because it's got to be expensive. But then I figured out, oh, wait a minute. Most of us opt to put it back on our Amazon account where it shows up in like an hour, as opposed to on your credit card, which 7 to 10 business days. And then you got to keep track of it. So they just took that money and they're just recycling it. So
Yeah.
it pays off for them. Tell me more about your work and how things have changed. Like, I think it's fascinating that there are still some master crafts people out there doing some of the work that you connect with in terms of designs. Any other stuff in that area?
Yeah, there is. Wallpaper installers, for example.
Mm,
Wallpaper used to be huge back in the day, and it got so like nauseating because it was so overused. Now people are like, oh, I don't want wallpaper, but it's changed. Now they have all these new beautiful wallpapers on the market that people want it again. And then there's not enough wallpaper installers to actually like have that artistic eye to match the prints and apply it the proper way. There's some out there and they're not cheap. And people are like, why does it cost so much money to hang wallpaper? I'm like, because it's very intricate. It's not just like wrapping a box with paper. Like there's a whole system to it. You want it done the right way, or do you want it to peel and look like crap in like 6 months?
I
So
never
pay a
even
little
thought of
more.
that. I never thought of that. And wallpaper got a bad rap years ago because it's hard to remove. So it's like,
Yeah.
I kind of like it, but am I going to do it? Because if we want to change it, can't really paint over it. We'll just paint. We'll just paint or do a faux finish on a wall. That was big for, a hot 2 days back, like, I don't know, 12 years ago. I remember trying to do it. It didn't turn out well.
Well, back then also the adhesive that was being used for the wallpaper was very different. It was almost like cement.
Yeah.
Now it's designed in a more chemical friendly way where it's safer to inhale upon installation, but also removing. You can literally take like a steamer, like a clothing steamer, put it up to your wallpaper and steam it, and it should peel right off. And it shouldn't interrupt your wall. I mean, your wall's going to need a little repair work, but it's not as crazy as it used to be where people are literally just painting over it and you have layers and layers. By the time people want to like rip it to the studs, you're like, how did we get so many layers of wallpaper and things on?
You're bringing back visuals. I totally remember it where I never had to deal with a wallpaper situation. I'm trying to think. Maybe in 2 houses back in a bathroom, and it was just like stripes. It wasn't that bad. Wasn't that tacky. But I do remember that scraping. Like, you're right. It was like this, almost like a cement that took a while. It was brutal. And then right away, you're gonna mess up the outer layer of your sheetrock. Then you got to spackle and everything. So we've come far. We're out of time. I don't know how this happens. Like, it just like evaporates. Interesting talk today, and how you have the ability to talk about trends, and then we tie it into design
society.
Work. Yeah, society and design work. There's always a connection. It's like actually really cool. How do we find you, KN?
Find me on social media, on my Instagram, KN Creations and Design. My website is kncreationsanddesign.ltd.com, and on TikTok.
I'm only going to say one thing, and I read this today. Generation Z will not wear ankle socks at the gym. And it's only Z. Millennials, it's all good. They will wear like higher socks at the gym. And I just read this, and then I was at the gym today. I'm like, yeah, look at that. I'm still wearing them. They're comfortable.
Wait a minute. No, that cannot be right, because I'm seeing these kids on TikTok wear those old school real scrunchy socks to the gym. And like, it's like their hot girl walk, and they're cute. And they're like, this is so cute. This is what I wear to the gym. And I'm like, I wouldn't even wear that to the gym. Like, what?
I'm not seeing that. Like, anybody, Gen Z is like age 11 to 26. And it's socks that are, up your leg to a point. I don't know.
Yeah.
Above your ankle, whatever. But not, I'm not going to lift my leg up here to show you, but it's like, you can barely see the socks. That's what I wear. I call it, an ankle sock. But that's how you, to them, that's how you tell somebody is old if you wear those. Like, really? Come on.
I need to find other ways to evaluate age, I think.
Right. Well, they're also okay with socks and sandals. I don't know about that either. Yeah, no. Yeah, not my thing.
Not my vibe.
Yeah. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Cool talking. We'll catch up next time.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Right, same. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.